So last Saturday, my neighbor Linda decided our street needed a little more community spirit, which is how I found myself standing in the middle of Maple Avenue, holding a solo cup and listening to Linda explain the concept of a silent disco. For the uninitiated, a silent disco is where people dance together but listen to music through their own headphones instead of a speaker, so to an outsider, it just looks like a bunch of people silently grooving to nothing. The only catch, Linda forgot to tell anyone to bring headphones. Or, music. So there we were, 20 neighbors, standing awkwardly in a cul-de-sac, all pretending not to notice the lack of, everything. That's when Greg, who lives 3 houses down and considers himself the Steve Jobs of used cars, tried to save the day. He said, "Hang on, I've got Bluetooth in my Honda." And promptly pressed a mysterious button on his key fob, which, as it turns out, does not play music but does set off his car alarm. Suddenly, the soundtrack to our silent disco was the sweet symphony of blaring horns and intermittent shrieks of "Step away from the vehicle." We all looked at each other, and because it was either dance or admit failure, we started bopping our heads and moving our feet to the only beat available, Greg's car alarm, which, for some reason, was stuck on a loop. As the night went on, people really got into it. Sharon from next door started popping and locking every time the alarm chirped, and even Mr. Patel, who's usually the first to complain about noise, was moonwalking across his driveway like he'd been waiting for this moment his whole life. Someone grabbed a flashlight to use as a makeshift strobe, and before we knew it, the whole block was synchronized. Every time the alarm went off, we all dropped into what can only be described as a very aggressive version of the chicken dance. The group cohesion was impressive, honestly, especially since none of us could agree on a playlist but we all seemed to know the moves to Car Alarm in G minor. Anyway, the real kicker came Monday morning, when a police officer stopped by to compliment us on our innovative neighborhood watch program. Apparently, between the dancing and the constant car alarm, would-be burglars thought we were staging elaborate break-ins every 15 minutes. So now, thanks to Linda's silent disco, we're the only block in town with synchronized break-ins, and I'm just waiting for the day the local news dubs us the flash mob felons.